everything works. It gives me loads of options to like do different formats and stuff. Quite
Yeah,
cool.
I have. Yeah, it's just our photos getting smaller. I don't know. Well, yeah, it's I don't know this format. It's quite interesting.
We are live.
Yeah,
we are live. So let's.
Is it possible for people to chat with us?
I think it's supposed to take. Oh, there's one person. Hello, whoever you are. Yeah, it does. So it pulls from LinkedIn or YouTube and Twitter, and then puts it there. So whoever's watching, or the two people that are watching, there we go. Perfect. Hi.
Where can I see? I want to see.
Can you not see the? Can you not see the comments coming up?
No, it doesn't go. Comment.
Maybe it's true.
No, I'm saying, yeah, Connor, yeah. Hey, buddy. But I need to go to it. I can't see it right away here.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, I just joined my own live. That's never a good thing to do. Just checking it's working.
You deal with the comments because I can't see them.
Sure. Just deal with us a sec, guys. We've never used this platform before. Make that free. Although it just says LinkedIn user, it doesn't tell me who that one is. That's really interesting. Anyway, whoever you are, you're very welcome to join us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just, as we said, just jumping on, seeing what happens, because we're simultaneously across a couple of platforms, which adds a layer of complexity. Like when we just do it on Instagram, it's just Instagram.
Oh, it's quite interesting.
See, that's one off YouTube. Thank you very much. I've got to work out who that is now.
You can't see them on the chat. It tells you who.
So I know who that one is. Thank you very much, guys. I'd set the title as obviously letting people know that it's our birthday. 2 years. 2 years. Man, it's gone quick. It has gone so quick. In fact, to the point where it's like just surprised us. Like we realised the other day, we're like, oh, 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years gone really quick.
Yeah, and I think to me, like even just today, looking like sorting the posts out and stuff, looking back over those old pictures when we did the launch, like it's just like, where's that gone? Where has that gone? That's mental. So 2 years ago, what were you doing, old man?
I'm trying to figure out a way so I can see the comments.
Is it because you're on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm on laptop, so easy.
I thought it's gonna be the same format of Instagram or something like that.
So we've got a couple of questions. Any highs and lows? Highs and lows.
You look at the time. Like the other day, I was talking with Nick, and we were referring to. Do you remember when we went to Blue Piano? Were you with us? No.
To where?
To Blue Piano, the restaurant, like with AlphaWorks community. We went all.
No, I wasn't. No.
So I was talking about that, and in my mind, it's like a year or a year and a half old, and then she was like, "Yeah, that's 6 months. That was 6 months back."
Yeah, 100%. We've got some questions. I'll have to read them because you can't see anything.
Yeah, I can't see that.
So first, any highs and lows? Where do we start with that?
We started with the lows, and then it started to get.
You can start with the lows if you want.
Well, the lows when we started, and no one, like not no one, but a lot of people were doubting us, and like, yeah, it's gonna be hard to do it. The struggle to find the space, the financial struggle at the beginning as well. There was like, we are doing this, we are spending our savings, and we're not sure yet how it's going to turn out.
I think for me, especially with finding the space, is like we knew that for what we were trying to do, having somewhere physical we could get people together was like such an important part of what we wanted to do. But the problem is that if you've got money and you can buy an office space or buy a building, that is fine. But when you have got literally £0 in the business's bank account, you know, that is super difficult. I mean, we are absolutely blessed to work with the guys at AlphaWorks. I think, you know, we spoke with a lot of people in the city who kind of said, well, we could look at something and perhaps maybe blah, blah, blah. And with those guys, you know, we went and said, look, you know, we need some support. We need somebody to help us get this off the ground. Within 2 days, they were like, yes, we are in.
But we should give ourselves credit as well, because we were clever on how to do the deal. So it wasn't just a case of.
No, I mean it's something that works for both. You know,
exactly.
They get benefit from it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like finding that mutual benefits. How was I don't know. Like I always refer to that Sunday Times article because when it was out, I was in London doing like a session for Warwick as back. And then
when I messaged on a Sunday night, like
yeah, it was Sunday night, and then we started looking at the copies of the newspaper to keep them. I still have 2 copies here. Like
yeah, I've got a copy because again, it was like so. Just for context, because we're rambling a little bit here, we were the Sunday Times start of 2020 did a list of like best places for business in the UK. So focused on like, if you're starting a business in the UK, these are the organisations you need to work with. I saw somebody else in Birmingham had been featured in it, and they put it on social media. They put, oh, you know, great to be featured in this. And I like zoomed in on the picture to look who was in it, and I saw Forward Accelerator, and I was just like, okay. Looked at it and thought, that's us. Contacted Omran and Alex, and was just like, we're in the Sunday Times. We need a copy of the Sunday Times. And this was like 8:30 on a Sunday night. I was like, I look at it like, I went out in the car and tried about 3 different places. And there's like a Tesco that's open till about 11 around for me. And I was like, yes, there's a copy here. But there's only 1 copy. So I was like, well, Omran, I think you found somewhere in the middle of London.
Because when you called me, because I was staying at a hotel in London. And I was at the reception having a drink, and then you told me about this, and then I started looking at all the newspaper in the hotel, because you know they have a lot of newspapers around, and I started collecting all the copies of the Sunday Times, and I told them, guys, I'm taking these copies with me.
Crazy. That certainly is a high. Is there a feedback on your end?
I thought it's at your end.
I don't know.
It's coming from your end. No?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so that was definitely a highlight. The launch itself was like a huge highlight for me. Sorry, I can just.
I go what you mean.
Maybe when one's speaking, the other one mute, because it may just be that it's like. Is that any better? See, that's better for me. I can't hear that thinging again. Okay, we'll do it like that. So like the launch for me was huge because.
I'm still hearing that thing.
Can you see? I can't hear it. When like now, I can't hear that, but when it's unmuted, I can.
But I'm still hearing it. Anyway, we're gonna figure it out later.
Figure it out later. Sorry if there's a little bit of feedback, guys. One of those things. Technical difficulties. First time using the platform. But yeah, so when we did the launch, you think we were starting out of nowhere, starting from scratch, and the 3 main speakers we had at that launch, even one of them would have been major. So James Eder, founder of Student Beans, massive company. Think of like Uni Days and all those platforms. They copied Student Beans. Student Beans was the original, huge. Emma Jones, founder of Enterprise Nation, does some incredible stuff. Sits on the Prime Minister's Council for startups and small business, huge. And then, of course, obviously Andy Street, the mayor of the West Midlands, who, like, again, absolutely huge. So we set, I'm going to bring a guest in here, but we set the bar high from kind of day one. Sorry, guys, I've got to figure out how to do this. There we go. So it was like, how do we beat that? I mean, later on in the year, another huge highlight was doing the event with Gymshark. Like, to have like a tour around Gymshark, take 150 people to go and see the place, to have Steve Hewitt, the CEO, speak, and then Ben Francis, the founder, speak as well. And not only speak, but interact. You know, those guys stayed around for like 40 minutes after, taking photos, speaking with people. Absolutely immense. That was.
You guys had me at Andy Street when I first met you, so that was enough for me to get to understand what was happening before all the Gymshark stuff. But
we've been asked highlights and lows. So now you've joined us, Alex.
I mean, I think what most people will work out is when they run their own program on their own startup, whatever. I think it's the lead time until you get to somewhere where you think actually we're making impact and we can see that. And I think there was always a lull or a gap in terms of obviously everything starting, the community vibe, and getting everything off, which was a real high from what I knew of you guys. And then obviously that build up to the first program when you're doing the core ops and you're really in the trenches, as some would say, to build it all up. That's hard. That is hard. And it will happen again when you try and scale up, or you go into another location, or you try and do more things. It's that period you're getting through. That was, you learn a lot for sure, but that was definitely hard.
I think you've just reminded me, speaking of some of those kind of program related bits, just coming back on, Ron. Sorry, we keep having like little bits of feedback.
I can't see, so I'm gonna try to log in from my laptop. Maybe it's better.
Yeah, give that a go.
But let me ask you something. I don't even know people asking questions. How's the region changed for you since it started?
I think there's some things that have not changed. So, like, for me, we still have this big problem within Birmingham Midlands as a region where we're talking a lot about, okay, people are working silos. We need to work in collaboration. We need to work together, because if we don't, we can't push forward. And there's still quite a few organisations who said that to us when we started, so 2 years ago, who are still saying that now. And the reason why I make the point of that is there's quite a few of those then that haven't actually then actioned it and said, right, okay, let's actually do that. Like, we say it's important.
And we've had this conversation a lot before, and I think that obviously comes down to a lot of the regions in the UK. I don't think, I mean, other regions have had more development, more European money, more programs. If you look at Newcastle with Ignite, which I know has moved on, or Manchester or whatever, Brum hasn't had that. And it has been
not a serious kind of, yes, there was the stuff with Oxygen, and those guys were doing some interesting stuff, a good number of years ago. But again, they hit walls that they kind of thought, well, they went and did cohorts in London, and obviously have moved on to other stuff now. But I guess maybe it was timing wise, was it the right time for them to do that? Whereas now, definitely in terms of from an acceleration perspective and that agenda, 100%. We don't have this huge pipeline of businesses in that kind of scale phase that are going to go and raise Series A and do that stuff, but it can come. The right elements, it's like the stars are starting to align, and I think that really we have came in the right time, because in order for us to take part in that, and as it starts to happen, we needed a reputation. We needed people to know what we're about. We need a track record of what we're able to do, and we've had 2 years now of doing that. We've worked with a high mass of startups. We provided like about 2.5 or almost 3,000 hours of support to businesses. Like
over 100 businesses now, easily.
Yeah. So I think some things have moved culturally in terms of this collaboration stuff. People know it's important, but only some have started to act on it. Obviously, we're there. There's some other players in that are there. So I think it's almost like there's a new order coming in. This new kind of, even within institutions like the Growth Hub, lot of change, a lot of new people in who are like, okay, this is important. We need to start actioning on this. And I think that's going to be the big thing for going forward.
No,
I've got a question, another question up here. One that we considered in the middle of the year. This is from Connor, and I guess it's something we might have even spoke about this with Connor and Joe when we went for pizza with them on run early in the year. Have you managed to find more time for yourselves as you've developed over the 2 years?
No.
To develop personally.
So like as time's gone on, now we're like 2 years in. Have we found more time for ourselves to like, have that balance and that sort of stuff?
We tried to play golf. I got an injury and we stopped right away.
He didn't want to go anymore once he got injured.
That's our team building activities. That always goes super well.
I think we did.
Now it's Now maybe like literally just starting to maybe have a bit of a time, But before we had to be headstrong.
You think year one? So the first year, and actually I'd say year 1.5. Most weekends we would be out for work at least one day of the weekend, if not sometimes both. Before the whole coronavirus and lockdown thing, we'd said a few times there was barely a time that we actually did things together that wasn't work related. It was always work, even at weekends, work.
I think it was the only one. Even on that, we worked when we went to Wales. Even that, we did some work. But
even that, I think that was the kind of that. So we took a few days where the three of us went to Wales together, like in the summer when we had that kind of out of lockdown one and before everything else happened. And for me, that was like the first time then we'd said, okay, we need to start looking at how we do stuff that isn't work. So that's when we went to the golf a few times. When Alex last came up, we took the Sunday car to Sutton Park and walked around there for a while. So I'll just say we've started to realise, I think, the importance of it and how it can lead to burnout if we don't.
Exactly. You just said it, because we can even if we have more time, we can still work. You can't stop, especially when it's your own thing. But we noticed the importance of it, that you need to take some time off. You need to have some time for yourself of do something. So, but something happened to me, and I found recently that because we were all the time doing work, even when you have time for yourself, you start to what did I used to do in my spare
working on and working in the business.
Yeah, and then what did I used to do in my spare time? You start okay, what were the activities that I usually do? And this is why now I'm trying to pick up what the activities I used to do, outside work.
My problem is they're all shut. So I love going to the theatre, but can't go at the moment. I have to just put the telly on in the back room and pretend I'm at the Hippodrome or something. It's not the same thing.
It's not, and I think I think there's a lot of similarities in terms of you started Accelerator. It's the same as starting a startup, right? Resources, team, all the processes. Sure, there are their own differences between them, but the process is pretty similar in the sense of trying to scale everything up.
And we would say the same. I think one of the things, and we go back to it a lot of the time, is that kind of okay, if our startups had this question, what would we say to them? So for a lot of them, we would say, make sure that you take time for yourself, you recharge, you do that. And then we have to, if we're going to say that to entrepreneurs, we need to do it ourselves. And I think we definitely have realised that this year.
Yeah.
I've put a note out to see if anybody has any questions.
Is that you on dating not an option anymore?
Where's that? I'm missing that.
That's on the
I'm sorry, I thought that was the public comment. Stop.
That's on the private chat.
That's technologies.
We won't go into that.
The first time for me using that. That's my excuse. So.
But I think as we were saying at the start, we kind of had set quite the launch itself. Hey, can't stand. Want to say congrats, 2 years. Thank you very much. For some reason, it's not telling us who your name is. Your name on this is LinkedIn user. But thank you very much, LinkedIn user. We really appreciate that. Probably if I went onto the stream on my LinkedIn, I could see who it is. Thank you, Simon. Simon from Wonder.
How are you, Simon?
I've got emails from you in my inbox, Simon, about setting up a. So one of the things they're doing now is Cav. Hi, Cav. Thank you very much. So one of the things that the guys at Wonder are doing now is kind of like letting people host their communities on the platform, and we're looking at with things like 1883 and the stuff that we do. How can we almost create like a resource bank or like a place where some of our entrepreneurs can like share materials and say, hey, this is a really cool article that I found. Doing good, thank you. Good. Looking forward to catching up with you and Sam at some point soon. We've had another question in. I'll say this with both of you. You both answer this. How do you measure entrepreneurial success? That's a big question.
Omran can start. I've got a different take on this.
Yeah, but I think this is slightly different in terms of our success. So like if we were like, okay, how do we measure entrepreneurial success in terms of us? Like, have we been successful or not, or are we being successful?
It's based on, again, like the whole entrepreneurship. It's based on building a hypothesis, working on it, test it, see if it's work, and then improve on it. And for us, it was, there is a gap in the ecosystem. We're going to try to fill in this gap, and let's see how we're going to do it. And within last year in specific, we started to see that there is a gap. We are able to find our place in the ecosystem without annoying other people or like competing head to head with big names or the supporters have been in the region. No, we were working with them. And this is where we felt we are filling a gap. We are not just competing on a place that someone else already doing it. So the success is based on build hypothesis, see is it right, is it wrong, and keep.
Well, it's outcome driven, isn't it? In terms of what we wanted to do when we set this up is, okay, we want to help these entrepreneurs to build what they're trying to do, to be successful, to grow, all that kind of stuff. So we know our only measure of success is not about how many people do we put through programs, how much revenue does the business turn over. None of that actually matters. Like, what matters is, what are these businesses doing?
But I think there are parallels between what we do and just normal startups, right? Because everyone goes out, they should go out, and I think everyone would agree, to solve a problem. And if you are solving that problem and you are helping people, or you are making people's lives easier or speeding up processes or whatever, one way or another, they are all in parallel.
Exactly. So the people gonna become more. All of that. It's gonna be the order driven, but it's the first goal. Yeah.
It's not how much funding you raise. It's not how much revenue you make, because I think some people feel pressured 100% to do that, or they'll jump on the venture train or whatever. But it's not that.
No, I'm going to pick on Jamie because he said hello to us. Hello, Jamie. But again, like for us, Jamie being a graduate of our accelerator program, for us to be successful, we know Jamie has to be successful. So if Jamie's business grows, and I hope he'd agree that there's growth and improvement as a result of kind of his engagement with Forward. But if that happens to him, we've solved that problem. We've got the outcome that we are doing the work for, and that's how we measure success.
No pressure to give a live review, Jamie, but
no. What I'll do, Jamie, I'll ping you the link to this stream on WhatsApp. You can jump on and tell everybody. Jamie Bakewell, so Big Two Studios, definitely check them out. Doing some incredible stuff with my previous work. So they help people within like film and TV and games, like to imagine like what scenes look like, what shots look like, the lighting, the sets before anything's kind of shot. Here he is, haha. Incredible stuff that they're doing. So definitely check them out.
To be honest, I didn't know that the filmmakers go through that process until we met.
I remember Jamie coming in. So we were at AlphaWorks when he came in for his interview. And I remember he came in, and And he's such a like cool guy, isn't he? Like laid back, cool, like comes in, says, yeah, but explains it all. And then like obviously he said the best way to explain it is to put it up on the screen. Put it up on the screen, and I was like, God, this is incredible. Like he says, we are very busy now indeed. Very much started with forward. Really appreciate that, Jamie. Honestly, those guys are doing some phenomenal stuff, and kind of from it, you know, doing those, but going on to do things like the Creative Scale Up program, and always proud of Jamie and what Big Tooth are doing.
If you don't know what previous is, look it up. It's pretty cool stuff. So.
And I've always, you know, they do a lot of wide different things, but you think the applications of that, TV, film, games, that kind of stuff, but even like theatre, I could see application in the world of theatre or architecture or anything where you need to like imagine something before you do it.
It's really nice because as for example, let's say in a film scene, there's going to be an explosion. Instead of doing the explosion, give all those expenses, you just like see it through Jamie's work of, okay, this is how the explosion is going to look like. And this can be applied to anything you need to see it, analyze it.
Yeah, but it's funny, obviously seeing Jamie's name there, and you think back to really like when we did the launch, and I said we did the launch, and I think like because of who we had speak at the launch and the stuff like that, like the bar was set so high because even before we'd done anything, we had like these like people like, you know, take part. And you think the first thing that we actually did from the launch, because we set out and said, this is Beck, this is a community, this is what we're trying to achieve. And then the kind of following week when you know, we sat down and did the series, it's like, okay, how do we actually do that? And the very first thing we did in terms of going forward then is putting together Forward, the very first program that we put out there, this accelerator that, as you said earlier, man, was kind of filling that gap. And I think for people like Jamie and you think all the other guys on that program, we're the new guys to it. They took really trust, you know, put their trust in us, put faith in something that had never happened before, and look what happened as a result.
And as well, getting the right people around. Because if you remember, because I remember when I started attending when it was just an idea, and we started going to the pub, if you remember, to do them and all that, and you can see like the dropout of people. So I remember I think we were sitting at a table, there was like 6 or 7 people. And
my favorite thing, because so many cliche startup world and that kind of stuff, but you think we did all that planning work, pub. I remember the speech I wrote for the launch. I did it in the pub that day because at Gloucester Green pub, they had like Wing Wednesday, so like 25p chicken wings. So I had my thing of wings, wrote it, went up to UOB and kind of thinged it. And then I remember Emma Jones coming to Birmingham and we went for a drink with her in the pub. And she couldn't believe that we managed to get Debbie Cinder into that pub.
Yeah.
Because it was Gloucester Green is like the student pub on campus at Aston. But yeah, Debbie Cinder was definitely there. But I think, as you were saying, like there were people involved then, but they were just there to contribute ideas. And some of those, you know, you think of, I'm going to pick on him because he comes straight to my head, Alex Bolton and stuff like that. No longer involved, but always, you know, a phenomenal supporter of what we do. You know, love those guys. A couple more, thank you. So Kaz was my course director whilst at Aston. Actually, was at the launch. I had the inside scoop, not scoop here, but just before the launch, so a month before the launch, I did my exams for my masters, and he taught the international business module. And on the same day as the launch, I got my result for international business. So I kind of saw him because he came to the launch, like, and we'd had the result in the day. Luckily, it was a very good result. Because otherwise, I'd be like, this is why I didn't do well in the exam. I was too busy doing this. Alison as well. Thank you very much, Alison. And Jamie back on as well. Beck feels very much like a community, different from any other program we've been on. I really appreciate that, Jamie.
I mean, I think what was nice to share though was the guys who came on the first program knew we were starting out as well, right? So they were very much on the same wavelength, as in it was our first main program that we were running. A lot of our process was just getting started, and not everything was perfect, but a lot was good.
It did at times feel like we just had to kind of fix it and make bits up as we went along, so to say.
No, 100%. Well, you do. I mean, it's just pretty normal in terms of how that
And
happens.
Definitely running I know I'm Ramble, agree with this. Running the second program, like the process up, we already knew what we were doing. And like there were things we were like, okay, that needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed. And then moving into this third one, like, even just a selection, like knowing who's like applications and filtering those and that kind of stuff. It's all about practice, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember like with the first cohort, there was a lot of back and forth between the three of us, if you remember. It was hard to make a decision. We're like because each one of us has like different views on how it should go. But the second one, we were more on each one of us knew what was wrong and what was right. So right away we were all like, okay, this is how it's gonna work. So it was much easier to, okay, this is who's coming forward.
Yeah. And I think that goes for any business, is that first time like you interact with customers can be like really scary because you're like, oh, what do I expect? What do I do? And then the more it happens, and then it happens more and it happens more, and you're just like, I know the process. I know exactly what I'm going to do. You almost sometimes can predict the response. You think, okay, I know what they're going to do or what they're going to respond to this before it happens, and have a preparation in terms of if they say, okay, this is the option I want to go for, we know what to do. If they say that was the option we want to go for, we know what that is as well.
And then you work out, most people work out what they're doing as they go along. So you start to ease a little bit and calm down.
Yeah. Certainly, and I guess it'll happen. If we sat here in another 2 years, again, our experience of doing this kind of stuff will be even more deeper, and we'll be like, remember, 2 years we thought we knew it, and we really didn't. No, there's a lot that we don't know. 100%. Another question.
Learning.
This is okay. We're getting less into Beck and more into advice, but we like this. We always like to give advice and thoughts on this kind of stuff. So, is the RR35 going to affect entrepreneurs who are a limited company?
What is it?
IR35, which is the changes around how HMRC kind of defines employment. So whereas before, you could be a kind of off payroll working as a contractor, that sort of thing. Some of it comes from like obviously questions around some of the gig economy stuff, like is somebody a worker, is there not? For me, I don't know what you guys think on this, but for me, it will maybe affect you if you're contracting people. So like if you normally like contract work out or put freelancers in, all that kind of stuff, perhaps.
I mean, the thing is, they've already moved it back by a year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it got pushed. I think it's been about the second time it's been pushed back, though, isn't it? Because it feels like it should have come in ages ago. I don't know when the actual changeover date is now. But they started to prep people for this already, because they already for a while now have had kind of like flow match and go through, where you can answer a series of like questions, like in terms of things like a substitute. Does it have to be that person, or could they send someone in their place? And there's a lot to do with the control of work. Can they decide how the work?
I'll have to say, I did the simulation on HMRC the other day, and it wasn't the most user-friendly thing I've used for some time. And I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're talking about it is it a debate? There's been a pretty positive tax advantage up until this point for contractors who've had to sacrifice on employment rights, security, holidays, sick leave, and everything before. So I think there are elements of it that are definitely overdue in terms of overhaul, for sure. But just in terms of how we work as a society in the UK, and I'll take London as an example for tech. I mean, I don't think it's going to be top of everyone's list, to say the least.
No, and I think with there's plenty of support and help out there in terms of seeing how it affects. So one, HMRC resources there. I know Alex said not always user friendly, but it is there. If it's actually dealing with people who you're looking to have as employees or subcontractors, so people like ACAS who deal with employment rights and that sort of stuff, they run. They have an employers helpline. They have free training courses, free materials, and a lot of HR professionals are willing to kind of pick up the phone and say, hey, this is our thoughts on it. What you will find is as we get closer to the changeover, expect a massive workshops to come up on the topic. You look at GDPR. I remember when GDPR came in, the amount of workshops on GDPR. These people are GDPR consultant, and it's like even they didn't really know what's going on. So 100%. And same with as we've just seen with Brexit, there has been support in this is how you've got to handle the changes. Any more questions? Anyone got anything else to say? I'm enjoying this. It's very different, as we said. No, especially like the three of us. Me and Omran have been experimenting a bit on the Instagram live. We did a clubhouse last week, and we'll have another clubhouse 12:30 tomorrow with the guys from If Only They Knew podcast.
I have this on my. Is it
on your calendar? It's the weekly one. It's the weekly one we agreed to do.
No, it's a weekly thing. Okay.
It's a weekly thing. See, Omran we'll just say, yeah, this is happening.
Omran's a big fan of Clubhouse. He'll tell you he's.
It is. Yeah. To be honest, I'm gonna make a video about it maybe today or tomorrow. It's now like golden time of skim the benefits of it. I think it might die slowly later on, but now there's like that to skim off it. There's a lot of people now joining it, and only those who are like mature enough to target and talk with. So there isn't a lot of like the just like bullshit stuff.
No, I think it gives you a range, doesn't it? To say the least. I think it gives you a range of.
It is. So like, yeah, there was like there was like literally one of like yesterday. Elon Musk was in one of the rooms, and then and in another room it's gonna be like OnlyFans tips and tricks, for example. So it's like literally it's like everything you need.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, no, that's it. It is a land of extremes. There's like, as you said, everything there. Some really crazy stuff, and I think for businesses at the moment, it's figuring out what is the best way. And jokingly enough, as we said with experts, like it will be the the thing we did. I remember at the start of the year, a friend of mine, Elroy, came and did a workshop for us about TikTok. So how to use TikTok for business.
Yeah.
Again, somebody's got to get in there first and start saying, okay, Clubhouse for Business, workshops. There we go. If anybody wants to offer their services
I was going to say, if anyone is looking to run a Clubhouse, there's a Spanish investor called Carlos Blanco who posted on LinkedIn some sort of thoughts early on, making sure it goes well, having 3 to 4 moderators, 5 to 10 speakers. I think these are the things to keep up positive conversation, to keep the whole thing. But it is in Spanish, but you can just Google translate it. But I think you can get a lot out of it, at least if you're putting in the work to make sure the conversation's going.
Again, it's, as we all do, stay alive to different channels, see and assess them at the time. For some people, there would definitely be a benefit of being on Clubhouse. There'll be some people that it just doesn't offer them anything. For us, it's about quickly, as we're doing now, assessing it, testing it, experimenting, and seeing. Same as we're doing right now on this kind of mash between what we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter as a live.
But we are not on Facebook, right? Because I was checking Facebook. We are not live on Facebook.
No, because I so basically when you do LinkedIn Live, so as we are now, you use it like a third-party platform that then streams across, that links in with it, LinkedIn. On the package we're on, you can only do 3 at a time. You have to upgrade to do a 4th, which would be our Facebook.
Okay. Got you.
But it's interesting that they don't then, because it works with Facebook and you can do Facebook, but you can't do Instagram.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's because there's a different mechanism with because all I've had to do is link the channels up and then turn it on and press broadcast. Like everything else has just kind of automatically happened.
Nice.
But no, we think for us it's that real-time engagement and seeing if there's ways beyond events, beyond the usual kind of social media content that we can offer this as a platform. Our viewer on LinkedIn is not LinkedIn, sorry, other one. YouTube is providing us with a few questions. So if you have any more, do let us know. Do let us know. I'll ask one, bringing back obviously the topic we've been speaking on. The next year, so the next 12 months, so heading towards Beck's 3rd birthday, what do you both expect to see?
Grey hair.
Sorry,
I already have some. I don't need more. Well, I think we're going to be expanding our global reach and getting on more projects with the government, or like because government is different for like multiple countries. So it's like with the authorities who are responsible for the enterprise development of the region. This is what I mean. Working more.
Just to add to that, if I had £1 for every time that I spoke to someone about grassroots initiatives not working, or there just being a lack of continuity or a lack of engagement with a lot of people trying to do the same thing, be a millionaire, we all would. And this is definitely one thing that we see in terms of what we call soft landing within companies. That, yes, helping out local companies, but equally ones coming into the UK from overseas. And what's that been for us? Costa Rica, Venezuela, now India. And supporting engagement over to the UK for market access. And I definitely think we'll see that. Sorry, that's you writing, that's not a question. In terms of how we link in with other markets, how other people are trying to do that overseas. I mean, we've had a bit of early engagement with certain other parties and other organizations like us. I mean, Dan's been doing that in Brazil, for example. A lot of my work beyond this extends there, as some people may know, and I think there's a lot that we can build up. There wasn't that long ago, Obran and I were in Turkey looking at this as well. State of the world doesn't allow us to go back there at the moment, but I definitely think that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that we keep doing.
And I think there are two things really that we'd set out in that launch. Is like, one is taking part locally. So we're not saying we have, as I said, all the answers or the best way, but we think that with us and with a few other organisations popping up, there's new ways to do things. There's ways to evolve enterprise support to be kind of purpose fit for today and moving forward for the future, rather than kind of trying things that maybe have worked in the past or no longer work now, or are problematic, as we've said, in terms of reporting. So there's a lot that we want to do there, and I can't wait really till we can kind of announce some of the projects that are in the pipeline on that front. There's, I think, really exciting things, especially around that kind of cross-sector collaboration agenda. So that's big. And then, as Alex mentioned, on the global front, again at that launch, when I did my bit, stood up and spoke and said, like, we want this place to be one of the best places in the world to come start and grow a business. We thought that was kind of looking very long term, but within less than 2 years, as the guys have said, working with some awesome companies from different parts of the world, bringing them to the UK and helping them to establish here, and then conquering into Europe and the rest of the world. People with genuine ambition but also ability to become global players, which is exciting. So I can't wait for that to kind of grow and expand further.
And we're going to expand our team as well. So
a huge milestone that we've kind of agreed that we want to hit this year is growing that team, because we think that in terms of new capabilities, new people, new networks, expanding the capacity, the things that can come from that could be major.
No way to go. We've only just got started, to be honest.
100%. I think we say it ourselves, but also there are partners we work with that say it in terms of the things that have happened in 2 years. Like, sometimes people are almost shocked that we're only 2 years old. They're like, well, how have you managed that in 2 years? Like, and again, it's been through those partners and the people that have just got behind us and said, yes, these guys are here to make things happen. But it is, we're 10% into, maybe even less than what we kind of set out as that grand ambition of what we want to achieve.
Yeah. No, completely.
Yeah. COVID or not, we still go, we still move.
No, but in seriousness, you know, you take it back to when it did all kick off and how quickly you had to pivot. I mean, pretty phenomenal how quickly it all happened.
I mean, you know, a big thing for us, because as we said, when the guys were asking about highlights and lowlights and that kind of stuff, that initial like finding the space and needing a space, because we thought space is so important to what we do. All of a sudden, then when we're in a world where people are locked down and we can't get entrepreneurs together, that was like hurtful for us, because like that's what we love to do.
But we were prepared, because even before the pandemic, we always used to have, like, we always used to use Zoom while delivering the session. There's always it's always being streamed on Zoom for someone who didn't attend with us, for example, or someone who's attending from another country. So we were familiar with the concept of shifting things online. At the same time, we were prepared that we were working with Canal on that like platform of where we have the materials and deliver them to the cohort. So the shift was relatively easy, and anyway, it's proved when we are forced to do something, everyone is able to adapt really, really quick. So everyone was adapting to Zoom, everyone is adapting to the new norm. But it's just like that force on, okay, now you have to do it, rather than shall I do it or not? For us, we were already experimenting with it, so it was easy to just like
Zoom members since 2019. We were so we already had our Zoom membership when this hit, because we got fed up of. I remember doing, as Omran said, we'd do these sessions always blended, where people virtual, people in the physical room, and we'd get to the 40 minutes and it cut off, and I'd have to like jump on and like do a new link and do that, and we're like, we just need to buy a Zoom membership.
You should have
talk about DIY.
This was before everybody else started to jump on. So yeah, we're the original Zoomers. I think we even did a couple of the first interviews for Forward on Skype. And Skype feels really weird to say Skype, because it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore. Like,
to be honest,
Skype.
Like I because you know I do work with like the Middle East region. They are still like most of them keen to use Skype more than anything else, especially when they are with there's some like firms, even they are like US corporates or US organizations, but they are still used to Skype, especially a lot of them security wise, because they deal with like really like confidential information and all of that. So they are still okay. We have been using Skype. Let's stick with it, and we see what is the rest with all the new things.
Yeah, that makes sense. But because it's owned by Microsoft, right?
But what I don't understand, people using Teams, like it's.
I understand it, because a lot of people have their emails and all that on Outlook, so their business uses Outlook, and I assume then that they get it involved, like combined with that. I really don't know. I've read it, when anybody sends me a team link, I'm like
Alex forcing us to use Google Hangouts.
Yeah. Fully enough, though, the problem I have is, so we've got a couple of businesses that we work with at the moment in India. Whenever I try and Zoom with them, it does not want to work.
Yeah.
Go on Google and it's perfect. It's fine.
Doesn't work.
So every time I have to say to them, like, I always send them out the Zoom link because it's just natural what I do. Then I have to say, okay, let's do it Google, because it's not working. It's not happening. Okay, we've got another question. This I guess jumps a bit further than what we just said. 2 years time. Where do we see us? So another 2 years on from now.
Well, how many? I asked you this question the other day. How many programs did we run last year? 10.
Yeah, roughly about 10 cohorts over the 4 programs.
I mean, given that was end of first into second year, God, that's scary, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on in the background, as some may know, because I think, you know, we want a close relationship with companies we've worked with. You know, trying to look at having our own venture fund in the long term as well, making sure that we can put more service into them. There's definitely a big thing that we know is needed locally and outside as well, to make sure that we can help those soft landings provide more resource, and equally help scale a little bit quicker. That's definitely one thing.
Yeah.
That was in the timeline of how they work, we'd hope to be sorted by then. I mean, I definitely think another thing is locations, which you guys might want to touch on.
It is locations. We 2 years we should have a base somewhere else as well. Maybe not one of us that's there, but have like a solid strategic partnership somewhere there, and scalability as well. As any startup, as any new business, after like 2 years, that means after 4 years, we should be in a position where we are scaling our business. So make it more efficient of what we are doing. As Alex just said, we are establishing those relationships, so we make sure that our time is used wisely at that point. And I think that we're going to be thinking more strategically rather than operations at that time, because we're going to have a bigger team and we're going to have the time and the scope that we can, how are we going to grow even bigger? How are we going to reach out to new opportunities in other regions, or even in the region itself?
I'd always say, and I say this every 3 months to most people I work with, as they probably know, everything you're doing every 3 months seems to change in terms of some of the main people you're working with, new projects that are coming up, new businesses. I mean, some of the current sort of cohort we're working with, definitely didn't know sort of 3+ months ago, and now I have been getting to know them pretty well. And I think that's not just one-sided, part of the fun of what we do. And we're learning about other markets as well. But I think that just goes hand in hand with what Omran said in terms of, there could be a partner out there in a different location that we don't know, or has started something up like us. You just don't know them, and you come to the crossroads, and there's synergies in what's happening.
100%. I'd agree with everything that you guys said there. The venture fund's a big one. It's no secret to people that know us that is one of our ambitions, is to have our own fund raised. It's just a process of time, and I think if you think back a year ago, a bit of naivety on our behalf in terms of understanding the complexity and everything that we needed to do that. But I think we month on month make more progress towards what we need to have in place to get there. Same with, as we've said, location wise. I guess we've questioned a little bit in terms of the importance of location and geography, and how important. So originally we'd said UK based, if we looked at another city in the UK, what would that look like? But maybe now it's like, well, actually you can service the UK from a location. It may be that it's, as we said, another location, which Omran doesn't know. We're going to ship him off to the North Pole to start at the first accelerator in the North Pole.
As you say that, I was just messaging him, we'll be on a beach.
It's more, as I said, it's not more of like us being in that location, but we need someone in that location who have the accessibility. So let's say if someone is coming new to Birmingham, when we are creating this soft landing space, so someone is coming in, we're gonna be like their like the door for them, open the door for them to Birmingham, to the UK. So wherever we're gonna be working, we need someone who is opening that door for us, and then we can provide the same support, the same services. However, we need the partner in that place, because they know who are the players in that region, in that location. Because it doesn't matter what business you are in, you need to know the players in the area you are in. You need to know the right partners.
100%. A beach in Mauritius, 100%. Yeah, but yeah, I think for a lot of us, again, market entry is like the speed at which, if they say, okay, we want to enter this market or there, if we can say, okay, done, we've done it, that's an immense value to be able to offer businesses in this community. And for the, as we said, we're a private independent organization who, we love the Midlands and a part of the Midlands, but again, it's a business that we work with. But we, having us then with a location here, if we're able to build that network, brings huge capabilities to the region as well, because businesses within Birmingham, within the West Midlands, within the wider Midlands region, can have access to the world, through other partners and people like DFT, but also through what we're doing as well. 100%. I'm going to give us like 5 more minutes. Let's round it to an hour. You like an hour's a good figure. and then we'll finish up for the evening. Yeah, I know we've touched on highlights and lowlights, but let's say, okay, one, you're going to pick one and only one most memorable moment of the past 2 years, and only one.
We start with you.
Start with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think it is for me? I think it is the demo day for the F2 cohort. That I think for me, why I picked that. Ibrahim late to the party, but the party's still going on. So thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions for me and the guys, just let us know. We're just about to go through memorable moments. The reason for me why I picked the F2 demo day is I think because there's a lot of people that got in touch with us after that, the day after, and said, seeing the development in where you guys are at now is massive. There were people that had been quite skeptical at the start, saying, young group of guys, new to this, do you really know what you're doing? Not sure. Who turned around and said, I'm impressed. I wasn't expecting that. And for me, that was like, okay, we keep pushing these standards and the things they achieve, like, yeah. So for me, it is that, 100% that.
Mine's probably a little bit simpler, but was probably, and it does involve you, Dan, but it was meeting, it was an event at the Shard, and I met Omran on the way out for literally, what was it, 60 seconds?
Maybe, yeah.
We were supposed to have a chat and there wasn't any time, and it was, gotta have a chat and meeting Brum. And because of that, I then met Dan in Acosta next to Aston, and I was still at uni at the time, and that's what brought everything together there.
Why you came back the next time, I don't know. Because we
don't say that.
I just needed 60 seconds with him, and I convinced him.
Because I remember you said, because Omran said to me, yeah, I've met this guy and blah 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 and all that. I said, yeah, sure, cool, have him along. And it was when at this point, again, we were looking at the old SU building at Aston, and we're like, we're going to take this 5-story building.
That's a memorable moment. No,
and then you came to Birmingham, and we showed you this thing. And I remember meeting you, and then we took you this thing, and we're there, and all that. And I just, like, when you went away, I thought that guy's going to think that we're like mental or something. Like,
I thought you were mental when you took me around a 6-story building, which was an old students' union, and told me that you were going to renovate the whole thing with about £5,000. And I went, no, you're not.
We were.
That building doesn't exist.
Me and Omran were going to paint the whole thing ourselves.
We even got like an engineer to like map out how it's going to look like and like the designs of it.
I still every time I used to walk past that building going down to Innovation Birmingham, I was like, if they'd said to us, have that building, we somehow would have made it happen.
Yeah.
It would have been hard and difficult and mental, but yeah, I am very much surprised that after that meeting, Alex, you were like, okay, I'll come on. And here you are still 2 years later. Omran.
Well, for me, to be honest, it's yet to come. Because every time we do something, there's something better coming along. Like, we are lucky, we are having progress, but I think it's yet to come for me to have that member.
Okay.
But I don't see it far away. I think soon, because for me to have that, yeah, maybe getting the first unicorn. I don't know. From out like one of the cohort.
Yeah. 100%. You know, that is, as we said with Forward, you know, we want to build or help build businesses that have that level of ambition and it doesn't necessarily have to be about money and that kind of stuff. It's just the level of impact they're looking to create is like, I want to create a global business that helps people and supports people's lives across the world.
But for me, not only one moment, but every time we go into a meeting and we don't have to too much talk about what we are doing or like introducing ourselves too much. That's a moment of pride of we reach that point that we don't need to go into too much.
What you do, people appreciate what you do. You know, people recognize that sense that you're making a change.
Because before we would go and we are like here trying to reach out to them and like explaining too much things. Right now, we go head to head and okay, this is what we do, and every time this happens, feel really good about it.
And that's like, I love that when people say to me, I see you guys everywhere. Like Joel Blake, I saw him the other day and he said to me, it's like, yeah, see Beck absolutely everywhere. Because we just like.
Do you remember like what we've been told, like when we wanted to take the Student Union and do all of this? There's like the first time we met it, they were like, yeah, you are the guys want to take over Birmingham. We were like, well, if this is what they are saying about us, yeah.
Mark Clark, that was.
It was Mark Clark.
But he still does. Like, he's probably sat on Twitter watching this now. Like, yeah. Get in there, Mark. We're getting there. Ibrahim, we spoke a couple of times on Ibrahim on this about kind of looking forward into the future. Not as far as 5 years. I think 5 years is an interesting one. But as we said, fund, multiple locations, get into that stage where we've got some, I'd say, businesses in that kind of portfolio of who we've supported that you would know. If we said, okay, this is one of ours, you'd be like, I know that company. And just more of the same. This, what we do now, but at just a bigger and bigger scale. It's crazy. It's crazy to think when we did that launch, I spoke about like vision for where we're at, like Commonwealth Games 2022, and it seemed like a miles away, like years away. It's literally next year now. Like, we're gearing up for the games. That's crazy. That's crazy. Any final comments from you guys? Any final questions from anybody watching? If anybody's watching,
no. For me, it's like, well done, guys. I think we take credit for it at the end still, and the others who are supporting us. And looking forward for more. And please, whoever is watching us now, like, one of advice, reach out. Don't, like, even if you have never, for example, talked with us, reach out. Or if whoever you want to reach out to and you've never talked with them, reach out, because this is how we started, and that's why we are here now, because we are not afraid of reaching out and talk about what we want to do. Reach out and take action, not only reach out, take action.
Alex?
I echo that.
But 100%, you know, if I hadn't invited you for that coffee, Omran, about coming on, if you hadn't seen Alex at the Shard, if we hadn't then decided, okay, there's something here, let's do it. Same with every single business that comes on a bit of support that we offer. If they didn't say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to go on that program, I'm going to grow my business, I'm going to take some action, they wouldn't be making the progress they are today. So 100% get involved. And I think there's just
circular effect.
100%. And it doesn't matter whether you're at the stage where you're, hi Ben, a lot of time for Ben. Whether you're at the point where you're just starting out and you're like, I literally had an idea the other day and I don't know what to do. Whether you're running a business and you're scaling and accessing other markets, you know, what we try to do is build something where you all belong. You all have a place and you're all welcome to take part. So as Omran said, get in touch. Of course, depending on what channel you're watching on this on, you might can see some contact details or a way to DM us. If not, website birminghaменterprisecommunity.co.uk, email address hello@birminghaменterprisecommunity.co.uk, or messages on socials, Omran Ahlabal, Alex Boddlestone, Daniel Evans. Get in touch. And, well, I think we'll leave it there, guys.
I think we could go on and on.
We will be back. We will be back on one of these because I've enjoyed it and I think it's been good. So let's do it again soon.
Thanks everyone who joined.
Bye everybody.
Bye.